And we're live. Cool. That was easy. Wanted to do a quick jump in and go live. One, just kind of curious who's around. So we'll see who jumps in. So if you do jump in, say hello. And just wanted to talk a little bit about the experience that I had of meeting Joe Szatmary and his crew. We recently started releasing some videos of the time that I spent with him, and I just kind of want to talk a little bit about kind of how that was, and just kind of about him in general. So to give a little bit of a background, like Joe and I have known each other or known of each other for a few years. Been in touch for a little while, I think 2 or 3 years, and just kind of always back and forth, just kind of talking here and there. He's had me on his channel before, but the stuff that we did together was more like distance, right? It was like me filming some stuff and then sending it to him kind of packaging it up and then putting it out. So this opportunity was the first chance that I had to actually like hang out with him and actually legit collaborate. And it was a great experience. Joe is every bit as like cool and down to earth as you see on his videos. Like that's really just kind of who he is as a human being. So coordinated it out ahead of time to share a weekend, and so I made the effort to get out there and see him, and right away, like rolling to the gym, like the very first day, he was just super cool. So as I walked in the front door of Lion's Den, he was standing kind of in the opening area, and immediately like knew who I was. It wasn't like I don't know what I was expecting in terms of like he was like, "Who are you?" But as soon as he saw me, he's like, "Brad," came up, gave me a big hug, kind of showed me around the gym a little bit, and just kind of welcomed me into the environment. And the gym really is top notch. One of the things that I like the most about the Lions Den is that it has a very like home gym kind of a feel. So a lot of the equipment is really great equipment, but it's equipment that Joe has picked up and kind of gathered over years and years and years, right? So it's not like this big like box gym feeling where everything is like name brand, Rogue or name brand, whatever, whatever. It's not all like matching equipment, right? So some of it's like it feels a little mix match, but like that for me kind of brings me back to a sense of home because I grew up in like a home gym. And having that home gym environment for me was something that I very much enjoyed. As a child, right? So like my dad was a powerlifter before I was ever even born, and he just kind of did the same thing. He acquired like legit gym equipment. So being in the Lions Den is kind of similar to what it was like, growing up in my basement. So it brought back that feeling of kind of like home for me. And it's just really cool that he's been able to acquire all the things that he's acquired over the years, and that he's been able to build the gym into what it is. What's going on, Gary? Good to see you too, man. Well, good to have you here. I can't actually see you, but you get what I mean. Yeah, so the stuff that he's done has been really, really amazing, and I think that's something really for me to look forward to at some point in time. That would be something that I would like to do, is be able to put some stuff together and build a gym and kind of begin to build my own community the way that Joe has. And it was really awesome to see the amount of people that he had coming through that were really energetic about training. When I was there on Saturday morning, they were doing their strongman class, and it was the gym was packed. It was full of people just ready to rock and being excited about training. And I'm trying to find if I still have the photo that I took from when I was there. But I happened to snap a photo that I threw up on my Instagram story, where it was just like a whole bunch of people out back doing their practice for like strongman training, and it hit me that like what Joe's done and the amount of lives that he impacts on a daily basis. From this idea that he had somewhere in the back of his mind to build a gym or to begin to have people around and start training people. But essentially, that started in his garage, and then it expanded and expanded, and now he's in the place that he is now. And the place that he's built is something that people look forward to, right? Like that's a destination for a couple dozen people's Saturday morning. So Saturday morning rolls around, like that's where they plan to be. And I was just thinking about it, like as I was watching everybody, it's like if that gym ever closed up, or like he just boarded it up and locked the door, how many people would be like devastated that place is closed. So it was really awesome to see the community and what he's done, and to get a feel for how many people's lives he affects on a day-to-day basis. So that was really, really cool. And then like just the generosity and the welcomingness of that he had, right? Like very welcoming to me and my friend. Basically just brought us in. Was super willing to kind of walk us through everything. Kind of an open book in terms of like his experience with YouTube and how he does things. Talked about training, talked about business, talked about like all kinds of stuff. And it was just such a really great experience to be able to share time and space with him. So I just kind of wanted to give a little bit of the backstory, for anyone that was curious about how that time went, where we got to hang out. He Friday after our morning session. He took us out to a restaurant that he likes called the Cross Keys Diner. So he took us out for some breakfast and kind of hang out and chat and whatever. And, it was really cool to just sit there and be able to hang out with him and his crew. And so like the experience of meeting Joe and hanging out with Joe, there was more than just Joe, obviously. Like getting to know Matt, getting to know DK. There's a couple of the gym members that were hanging around. It was really cool to be able to talk to people and just kind of hear their story and what they've been up to and what they do, and it was really awesome experience. So I was just super grateful for the experience to share the time and space with him, and I just wanted to say like openly and publicly, like he is every bit the caliber of person that he seems. So if you've ever watched one of his videos and you're like, Joe seems kind of cool, like he's super cool. Thanks, Gary. The deadlift video with Joe was great. It was cool. Like for me, it was pretty neat to be able to be in a position, for Joe and for Matt, for the level of experience that they have and the amount of coaching that they do, and to still feel like I had something to offer them. I was pretty grateful for that. I thought that was pretty cool. And moreover, that they would listen to me. That was pretty cool. So there was a lot of fun that we had there. It was really cool, just kind of riffing and laughing. And my buddy Z was with me, and Z Z has a bit of a acquired personality, acquired taste, right? So he can definitely rub people the wrong way because he tends to be fairly sarcastic. And it was pretty funny because Z was just being Z, and he kind of had the whole crew laughing and cracking up about some of the stuff that he was saying. So he definitely had a lot of one-liners throughout the weekend where he was cracking us up. And I thought it was really cool that Joe and the crew were cool with my friend, right? Because they don't know him from Adam, right? So like for him to come in there and be kind of his sarcastic self and just kind of say some off the wall stuff. For some people, I could see that being off-putting, but for those guys, they just kind of took it in stride and were laughing. And they were asking him a lot of questions about like his military career and things that he'd done and seen over the years. Ask me some questions too, and kind of be able to share that experience of things that I've seen and done in my life. And I don't know, it was just a really unique experience, and I'm super, super grateful for. So for any of you guys that have been checking out the videos on Joe's channel, and I think I got another video yet to come out on my channel with Joe and I kind of hanging out. Just appreciate you guys, checking out those videos, and you check out the video with Matt where we talked about trying to stay strong and running. It's pretty cool. So I appreciate that support. And I was just willing to answer any questions if you guys had any questions about the time that I got to spend with Joe, and just kind of see who popped in. So that's really all I was looking to do, is just talk a little bit about that experience and see if anybody had any questions. And again, just to say, thanks to Joe and the Lions Den crew Those guys were really, really top notch. Um, oh, this is yeah. Yeah. This is the live.
I can hear you talking.
Yeah.
He's not talking.
The girls are getting suspicious. Who's he talking to? But yeah. Anyway, so it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to go out there and do that stuff. Oh yeah. Well, is that why your ear was on the door?
Yeah, she's like.
Who's he talking to? Talking to my girlfriend. My girlfriend's name is YouTube. Yeah. Anyway. What kind of program does Joey run for Deads? So right now, like that's the thing is he doesn't focus on it like exclusively. So like his focus. Maybe turn it down a little bit. His focus and the things that he does is very different than how I do things. So like I am nearly exclusively focused on deadlift and whatever else, and that's really all I do year round. He hasn't done much deadlifting, like straight up deadlifting, in the past year. So since he pulled his 745, he hasn't really made it much of a focus. His thing was more doing like farmers walks and pulling the doing like the frame deadlifts, stuff like that. So like his focus is very, very different. So it's not surprising to me that his deadlift hasn't made like great leaps because he does things that aren't deadlifting and he doesn't really focus. Yeah, the strongman stuff. I think that if he did more training on deadlift and like sub-maximal weights where he's hitting like 5 rep PRs and things like that to really build up that strength pool. I think that he would be much better at a straight deadlift, but like that's not what he competes in. So he doesn't give it that kind of attention. So he did mention that after his competition, he was going to do a little bit more focus on deadlifting. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how that goes for him. They kind of go from there. Real quick, just for any of you guys that watch this, as a bit of a sneak peek, he and I are talking about getting together again. It'll probably be sometime after the new year because he's got some stuff coming up, competition-wise and whatever else. But looking sometime after the new year of he and I linking up and hitting Ohio. There are a few people out in Ohio that we'd like to go see and go visit and hang out with. So I think that he and I are going to do a link up sometime after the new year and do that. So I think there's 3 or 4 different people that we'd like to go see, and so we're planning on going to do that together. So kind of that'll be on the horizon. It's a little ways out, but it's something to look forward to. So already starting to do stuff to kind of lay the planning out to do that. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think that'll probably be the next like big thing that I do in terms of like collaboration. Is go up to Ohio and hang out there for a few days and meet a few people and names TBD, right? I'll announce that as we get a little closer. There's a few people we're talking about going to see, so that'd be pretty cool. All right, yeah, well that's it, guys. About 15 minutes, is really all I wanted to do. I just wanted to see if anyone that popped in, if you guys have any questions regarding the time of me hanging out with Joe at Lion's Den, or anything about that experience. I didn't want to drag this out into a half hour live as they sometimes get for me. So I'll wait for just another minute or two to see if you guys have any questions, and if not, we'll close it down. Yeah. Anyway, at the end of the day, that was a really great experience. How many times a week would you say for deads? For who? So it depends how much volume do you do or how much deading you do. It really does matter of who it is that I'm talking to. So I might put in more deads for a female than I might for a male, especially a bigger, stronger, heavier male. In my opinion, deadlifts are one of the most neurally taxing things you can do. So it really depends. once per week. So to give you some idea, Gary, I do twice per week. Right now, the way that I run my program is I essentially do 5x5s. It's just a straight linear progression. So I do a 5x5 twice a week on deadlift so far, and I took this week off as a break. But right now I'm at the next 5x5 I hit will be 635. So hitting 635 for 5x5 twice a week. That's how much I do, and for me that's not overbearing. So I could probably tolerate a little bit more, but in consideration of everything else I do, I think for me that's probably just about enough, because otherwise it would start to negatively affect other things that I'm doing. So I would say you could probably stand to bump up, one more training day per week, depending on where you are. So for me, I don't balance anything off of RPE. Um, what I did, Gary, is I picked a weight that was real low on my overall percentage when I kicked off this linear progression, because I knew I just wanted many weeks of just straight training. So I don't even consider RPE. I just look at the weight, and all I'm doing is every week I'm bumping it up 5 or 10 pounds, and that's it. It's just every week I'm going up 5 or 10 pounds, and with no consideration of RPE whatsoever. I find a lot of people enjoy RPE. I do not. I like the percentage based stuff. RPE for me is like, I don't know. It's too nebulous for me, and I know that some people really enjoy it and they really like adhere to it, but I can't stand it. Um, for me, it's just too hard to pin down. Um, and then sometimes our bodies lie to us too. So like some days you get in the gym and like you don't feel that great, and so then your RPE might suffer because of this perceived feeling of not feeling very good. Vice if you had a target weight in mind, you're like, I'm gonna hit this weight. At least you have something to shoot for. Where if it starts to feel like kind of heavy, you're like, no, this I have my target, and you don't sell yourself short. This is this is the hand of death. It's like thing.
Beer. Thank you.
It's the problem with having the fridge in my office. Um, yeah. So what I did, Gary, like I said, is straight linear progression. So I just went far enough down on my percentage to know that I wasn't going to hit any walls for some time, and that way I can just build up a training base of volume and just ratchet it up over time the intensity. But all I'm really doing is just accumulating this base of training, this volume of training, and then eventually I'll hit a wall. So like I would imagine in the next, if I were to continue to run this, if I'm at 635 now, I would say that once I get to like 700, that might be the territory where I'd be at of potentially not hitting all 5x5. That like that might be around the ballpark, give or take, 20 or so pounds. I might start to struggle to get all five reps for all 5 sets. The idea, of course, is that once I hit that wall and I don't hit the full 5x5, then I'd stay there and repeat that until I can achieve it, and then I would go up again. Um, I don't know how long I'll put myself against that wall, where if I'm failing on a weight and I don't hit the 5x5, if I just keep hitting that weight for like 3-4 weeks, I'm not sure. I just did this because for me, since I'm not competing anytime soon, there's no reason for me to peak. And what I was doing was following my old competition program where I'd have this spool up and I'd peak up and then I'd reset and then do it again. And that spool up for the peak is pretty taxing. And going real heavy for me is, there's some risk associated with that. And for me, if there's no competition to get ready for, like, what's the point of redlining myself? Like, there really isn't, at least not so far as I can tell. And I'm not here to ego lift, so I'm not trying to set new 1 rep maxes all the time. I'm just, I want to stay as big and as strong as I can while also staying healthy. So that's really been my preeminent focus lately. So So I hope that that answers the question about like what I do and how I do and why I do. Because it gives me a lot of training volume. It gives me something to focus on, but it keeps me relatively safe so that I'm not kind of redlining my body and really pushing myself to the limit. So that's what I do. Any other questions while we're still sitting here? Yeah, yeah. For me, Gary, with your question about the C Nation programming starting at 70%, and then doing 5x5 next week, 75%, oh, 5x3, and then 80% for one. Yeah, you could do something like that. I try to avoid doing, one rep stuff, um, just because the propensity for injury is much higher. But yeah, that's, I mean, like ultimately, ultimately training works as long as training gets harder. So it doesn't matter what program you use, as long as the training continuously gets harder. As long as that happens, you're going to continue to adapt to some degree and get stronger. Then ultimately, what it comes down to is something that can keep you stimulated enough mentally. So if something doesn't stimulate you or excite you, give you something to look forward to, then you're less likely to do it and see it through and continue to do it. Um, yeah, 5x1. Yeah, okay. 5x1 at 80%. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so then you hit 80%. You end up doing five, but you're only doing 5 sets with one rep. Makes sense. Yeah, I mean something like that might be perfectly feasible. And then you run that, and then like reset it, and then you start back at 70%. But the 70% that you do the second time around is heavier than the first time that you did it. And essentially do the same thing, so that you're constantly walking those values up and constantly making the training harder. That might be something that you do. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, we're on 20 minutes. I said I would not take this to a half hour, so I'm not going to take this a half hour. I appreciate you guys checking out the video and checking in. Gary, thank you for the questions. Today you're the only one that played, so thanks, Gary. And lastly, I just want to say a big thanks to Joe and the crew from Lions Den. They made that experience absolutely amazing. Those guys are every bit of the classy people that they appear to be. Very, very awesome guys to be around. So if you ever have the opportunity to link up with them or go train at the gym or whatever, you should. Those guys are awesome. And if you don't happen to follow Matt or Joe on YouTube and Instagram, do me a favor and check those guys out, because they were top notch. That's it. Any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to hit me up. I'll always respond. Appreciate you guys continue supporting the channel. Remember, no matter what it is you think you can't do, meet some new people and make some new friends. It's never going to happen if you don't get out there and train to fight. You're either going to find an excuse, you're going to find a way, and I hope that you guys continue to find a way. Thanks for watching. See you next time.